Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Our patient, I believe this is Tribeca, AK12A, I think this was Tribeca, but doesn't really matter as long as there's IC608 on the board. That's gonna be our culprit responsible for misfires. Let's take a look. Oh, prior repair attempt. Let's take a look. Let us take a look. Yeah, it was definitely heated up. Let's see the chip alignment and soldering, shall we? Yeah. See, this is not as easy as it looks on YouTube, right?
Archie, dance. Dance. Dance party. Come on, dance party.
Alright, fun Saturday in blackhorserepairs home. So as you can see, yeah, the problem here, why did this not work? The problem is that I don't see any signs of flux, and that's usually how the solder looks when there is no flux. There's also damage to the traces here and there. It's not a significant damage. You can definitely tell, like over here, yeah, the coating has been stripped of the chip. But the chip alignment is very good. So definitely good job on that. If you used flux, this would have been a very good job. What's this? Is this chip damaged? Or is it just some speck on it? Yes, gentlemen, everything looks much easier on YouTube when someone else does it. I've been there myself, especially with welding, right? Before I started welding, arc welding, I watched a lot of YouTube videos on welding, and it looked so easy. It's so difficult when you try it yourself and you have to figure out the current and how to move the electrode, and because you need to move it closer because the electrode just gets shorter and shorter, so you gotta move in two directions. Plus if you put too high current, then it's gonna start eating away the metal, all kinds of stuff. So it took me a while to get even relatively decent welds. I'm still not proficient in welding, but I can get some stuff welded. Okay, well, okay, my son doesn't want to go play baseball. Well, I'm a soccer guy myself, because I'm European, so I can't say I blame him. I can never understand the rules of football or baseball. It's like a whole lot of confusing to me. I'm not a big sports guy anyway, so. Anyways, let's get the chip off. And let's talk about the news. Actually, as far as my news and my job search news, that interview that I told you guys about, that I was worried that I might be underqualified, it actually went really well. Better than I expected. I expected there would be a grilling on Java design patterns, then differences between objects and the intricate or maybe some syntactic sugar questions, that kind of stuff. But no, none of that. None of that. It was more of a descriptive conversational interview with a team leader, and yeah, usually I do well on those. So I was surprised because I didn't really think that would be anything, but it was, and I got the third and final interview on site with the whole team. I expect that it's gonna be whiteboarding and probably some Java problems and maybe some more practical questions, maybe actual coding. I don't know, but I made it to round 3. That by itself, in my book, is a tiny success, because I didn't think I would go all the way to stage 3. I thought stage 2 would be my limit. So we'll see. We'll see. I will also be signing NDA with one of the companies because they were alerted to my social media presence, and they do not wish, well, I don't know what the NDA is going to say, but basically as they relate it to me, like, they don't wish me to talk about the company itself, like not mention the name of the company and probably some other stuff, and which, all they have to do is just ask me. I don't have to talk about it. This isn't what this channel is about. So, but they called me, or the recruiters called me, asking if I would be okay signing NDA. Of course, I don't mind. I do not mind. So we'll see what that is going to be. So yeah, the market definitely picked up in the last few days, few weeks maybe. It's definitely different experience than I had for the first month. I guess I was just really unlucky to be laid off in that time period. I was expecting that it's related to elections more than anything else, but maybe it was related to something completely else. Something completely different. Could be. Now, let's see the damage to the board. Not bad. I don't see any significant damage here. Yeah, a little bit of scraping here and there, but no retracing needed. Looks good. Not bad. Alright, let's talk about the news. Because it's pretty prominent on the news. The Chase infinite money glitch. And I don't think people that fell for it actually understand what the glitch means, because it's not exactly what was experienced there. Banks always will want to kind of provide good services. So if you deposit the check, they might make the entire funds available or only partial funds available to you. And then if it bounces, then you're kind of in trouble. I mean, in trouble in the sense that you're gonna have to pay some extra fees on that and stuff like that. And it happens, right? Someone gives you a check and you cash it, and you get the cash, and then it turns out that the balance was not available on that person's account, and basically you have to give that money back and pay some extra processing fees or something like that. I've been there many years ago. I was paying the rent, and I asked the lady, don't cash it until, what was it, like next week, a few days in the future, because that's when I get paid, right? And she cashed it, and then she calls me like, well, your check bounced, and now I'm gonna have to charge you an extra whatever, $25 or something for the processing fees and stuff. And I paid that, but I had half a mind to tell her, like, lady, what part did you not understand? Me saying that don't cash it until then. And you cashed it and you're complaining to me that there were no money? I told you there was no money. But yeah, I paid all that, and she was good people. So I didn't want to give her problems, and not like it was a huge amount of money. But basically that's how it works. It's not a glitch, it's just just kind of a courtesy, the bank's courtesy to just kind of take you up on your word when you're depositing check and make those funds available to you right away, because you might need it, right? It's not a glitch. But you're mowing the lawn. Nothing but distractions today. Not that it's gonna help too much, but it's gonna help a little. But what people just kind of fail to focus on in this particular problem is that, well, who fell for this scam, for this trick? Gen Zers, right? Primarily, as far as I know, it's the Gen Zers that fell for that. And why Gen Zers? Well, I'm a millennial, right? I was born in '82. When my generation came around, that was along with the huge boom of computers, internet, and all that stuff. So we always seen ourselves superior to our previous generation because we could operate computers. We could do basically we had all those skills that came easy to us because we grew up with it, basically, and were a tough sale for the previous generations. So when I was a teenager, it was very common on the job listings to specify that the ability to operate computer was required for the job. I don't think you see any of that nowadays, because it's kind of understood that everybody knows how to operate a computer. Now the question is what kind of software is required, or are you familiar with this software or that software? But you can operate the computer, right? Back then it was actually a skill that you listed on your resume. I'm capable of operating a computer. I can compute. It used to be even called that. The act of using the computer was called computing. So you were computing. Not the computer was computing, you were computing, using the computer. And that's how it was. So our generation was like, we inherited a better world than our parents and our grandparents. Gen Zers are kind of inheriting all the problems that we made. None of the benefits, you know? There's no way they're gonna buy a house without rich parents. There's no way that even their job is gonna be paying the rent, or if it's gonna pay the rent and the bills and the food, there's nothing left for any fun. The economy, well, compared to, well, you can find different areas in the history, and in many ways the economy is a lot better now than it was, and in many ways it's the worst. So it's understandable that Gen Zers are feeling a little, you know, we got tricked, we got fooled, we got scammed by the system, by the society, by what have you. For that reason, if you're in that mental state, you're gonna have very fluid judgment when it comes to committing fraud. Whenever someone steals or lies or does anything like that, they don't do it thinking that they're doing something wrong. They do it thinking that the other person or the other party deserves it. You know, no one commits burglary or something thinking that, oh, those poor people, what am I doing to those people? No, they're gonna think, you know, that's what you get for this, or that's what you get for that, and you work for this company and that company screwed me over. Or maybe you don't work for that company, but whatever, insurance or something, I got screwed over, so now I'm gonna steal money from you because someone stole money from me, right? So with that mindset, I think when Gen Zers were committing this act, were just in their mind, they felt justified. Well, JP Morgan, Chase, who cares? They have a lot of money, right? They charge you huge interest and predatory credit cards and that kind of stuff, so yeah, they deserve it. And that was the mental state they had while committing fraud. So it's very easy to judge, like, because yeah, it is extremely easy to judge, because the check fraud has existed since the checks were introduced into circulation. The same with credit cards and all kinds of stuff. So it's nothing new. So how did you not know that passing a bad check or cashing a bad check is gonna land you in federal prison? It's not like it's anything new. But maybe they didn't know. Maybe they were not informed. Could be. So now it's easy to say, well, they deserve it because they did something really stupid. And be that as it may, you know, I like to look at it from their perspective. It's an oldest trick in the book, check fraud, right? Like, what was it? It was a couple weeks ago, I think. I watched this YouTube video of the lady getting fired from school for being drunk. right? But she didn't drink at school. She drank the day before. I don't know if that was a first day of school or whatever. But she drank the day before, and she went to school, and obviously, and you know, if you drink too much, right, enough to have a hangover next day, then the next day, if you blow into the breathalyzer, it's gonna show something, right? Maybe you're gonna be in the legal limit, but it's gonna show something. It's very popular in Poland because Polish police does not need a reason to pull you over, so they just routinely pull people over, especially Sunday morning, with the expectation that the majority of people just had something to drink on Saturday evening. And in Poland, well, vodka is really popular, but I don't know nowadays. But it's kind of like a national drink, vodka. So if you just drink, a few shots of vodka the previous day, say around 10 p.m., then the next day you're gonna have some alcohol in your system still, and that's what the police hunts for. Right, so technically you're getting a DUI even though you didn't drink, because the alcohol is still there. What I used to do, and actually all of us, what we used to do, is you have those online calculators, and you just input your weight, your height, how much did you drink, what kind of alcohol, how much did you eat, and how long was the drinking from start to finish of drinking. So how fast did you ingest that alcohol? Because the faster you ingest alcohol, the more drunk you get, right? If you spread it across longer period, the less drunk you get, meaning the faster that alcohol is going to be processed. And that will give you, that calculator will give you a rough estimate of when can you drive, right? So it'll be, depending if you had 2 beers and full stomach, and the next day is going to tell you, yeah, you're good to go at 6 a.m., right? But if you had 5 beers, then you're good to go at 11 a.m. or something like that. These are obviously estimates. Everybody is slightly different, but the lady came to school probably hungover, and in the morning she blew, I think it was like a 0.04, something like that, so like below the legal limit, right? 0.08 is the legal limit, and I'm not sure how it works exactly. Like, you can have 0.08 and you can still drive, or is it just misdemeanor instead of, I don't know how it works exactly. But the point is that she had just trace amounts of alcohol in her system, but alcohol nevertheless. They breathalyzed her, and once there's a reading from the breathalyzer, which she didn't need to take, she could have just resigned, and that would be no big deal. But once that reading is there, that's going to be documented, and you're getting fired. And I was thinking, like, back in the day, this was this was the oldest trick in the book. I know it's despicable, but people used to do that. If you don't like your coworker, or you want his job, or whatever reasons you might have to have them fired, you go drinking with them, you observe how much they drink, and the next day you take the day off or call in sick, and call in the school saying that that person is drunk. I've seen that. I've worked in the companies that did that. Obviously, we didn't have high opinion of people that did that. Obviously, absolutely despicable thing to do, but all this trick in a book. My point is, I bet the lady just didn't expect that there might be someone who who just plainly, I don't know, well, would do something like that. But they did, and you know, there's nothing anyone can do for you. That's the law, right? Either don't drink that much or take the day off next day. If you wake up with the hangover, don't go to work. If your work is working with kids, come on. You know, no one's gonna defend you. No defense lawyer is gonna stand in front of the jury defending you passionately. That, well, it was only a few drinks or something. No, you went to school to teach kids, to present yourself as an example of the adulthood that they should aspire to be. And instead, you're coming to work hungover. No, no one's gonna defend you. So you're kind of in this really bad position. You did something wrong, and there's no way out of it. And the same with the free money glitch. Like, exactly, have all this trick in the book. How did you not know, right? If you cash the check and the check does not have the actual balance, or the account that the check is linked to doesn't have the actual balance, then that's check fraud. I mean, it kind of depends on your state of mind in a way, right? Because maybe you didn't know, right? It's not necessarily fraud. If this was a check for $50 that you got from someone for something, right? And you deposited the check and it bounced. $50, right? No one's gonna give you a hard time about that. As I said, just few bucks for the processing fees or something like that, and you're good to go, right? Honest mistake, it happens. But if you constantly balance of your account is nowhere higher than, say, $2,000, and suddenly you deposit the check for $35,000 and you cash it, then it's gonna be hard to explain that away with, oops, my bad. I didn't mean to, I didn't know. It's gonna be tough to explain that. And I don't know, did they know that they're committing fraud? Because that's going to be important during their trial. But if that's going to be federal trial, right, in federal court, and the federal courts have something like 90-something% conviction rate. So there's no way you're getting out of that. And most likely you're looking into some time in federal prison. They do not take financial fraud lightly. Not at all. I've heard of people spending 6 years in federal prison for tax evasion. That's not even fraud. That's just tax evasion. So imagine how many years you can get for actual fraud. Knowingly cashing bad check. Horrible. Absolutely horrible, but as I said, look at it with a little bit more understanding, like which generation is doing that. It's not the spoiled generation like millennials, like myself. We are the spoiled generation. Yes. Well, now that we're in our 40s, you don't hear much about us anymore. But a couple decades ago, you would hear a lot about millennials, how spoiled and unappreciative we are, and like we're not tough, and we're soft, and soft people create tough times. Tough times create tough people, and tough people create soft times. So we created hard times, our generation. So we got to take some accountability at least for that, It didn't just happen by itself, and look at the situation, the job market, or, well, pretty much just job market. Pay is low, hours are long, there's not much job in general, not many jobs in general. So yeah, people become a little more desperate. I wouldn't blame TikTok for that, because TikTok is just going to be a reflection of what people are interested in, right? If you're interested in electronics and you watch channels like mine, it's not thanks to YouTube, right? YouTube is going to be promoting such content if there's a lot of people wanting to watch that content, right? So the same with TikTok. The video went viral because everybody wants free money. But where is that money coming from? It's got to come from somewhere. It's not necessarily just the numbers on the paper, even though it technically is, right? Technically that money just is created from thin air, sure, but the process of creating money from thin air is a little more complex than just saying let's create money. So well, anyway, my point is that I think Gen Zers fell victim to this glitch rather than took advantage. Remember that preying on vulnerable and desperate is easy, it's successful. I hear that a lot of these people that are now on TikTok showing their balances, like huge negative balances, and talking about going to prison and stuff, that these are not even their balances. They're just taking advantage of the interest in this subject to get views, right? And likely the people that actually published the, cashing those checks and showing that on TikTok actually did not do that. Again, they just took advantage to create a popular video. Because now, when they will be prosecuted, because they will be prosecuted, there's going to be a question, as I said, are they perpetrators or victims, right? If you didn't know, you might play a victim card, you might play a sympathy card, but if someone finds your TikTok video and you're laughing and while cashing the check and showing off money and then maybe going to some extravagant places to spend that money, your I didn't know argument is not gonna fly, and you're not gonna garner any sympathy. For that reason, I believe the majority of people that actually fell for that did not publish their experience on TikTok, which could be interpreted in turn that they knew they were doing something wrong, that's why they didn't publish it. On the other hand, if you do publish it, you're just kind of documenting committing a crime. There's no easy way out of it. Actually, there's no way out of it. But at this point, all you can hope for is leniency of the judge. Nothing more. Okay, this looks good. Well, better than it looked before. But the important thing is, will it work? Now it should work perfectly fine. So, roughly the same amount of solder on each pin. Good alignment, and the solder must be shiny and solid. No bubbles, meaning no bubbles. So if it's shiny, that means it hasn't been overheated or over-oxidized. If it's not shiny, that's either overheating or, in this case, it wasn't shiny, but it wasn't shiny because there was no flux. I think I watched one video from someone, I don't remember, some very good channel, and talking about soldering, right? When to use flux, when not to use flux, that kind of stuff. And his approach was simple. The way he put it was simple. Every time you solder, you use flux. There's no soldering that does not require flux, especially in electronics, but you can use solder also to solder copper pipes. You obviously use a lot higher temperature. There are also types of solder that will bind aluminum. I've used those before. It's very hard because you need to heat up aluminum to really high temperatures. Much higher than what we use for regular soldering. So you need a torch. There's also silver solder. Again, the even higher temperature, you need the much stronger torch to melt silver solder. So yeah, there's and in each one of those you use flux, right? There's no process of soldering that doesn't use flux. Even the process of welding, like arc welding, right? There's still flux in the electrode. You have the thin metal, thin piece of metal, and it's surrounded by flux. Yeah, and as you weld, all that flux just kind of comes off, and then you have to hit it with the hammer to just kind of knock all that flux off. So flux goes to every metal binding. There's no way to do this properly without flux, is the bottom line. And that was the problem. That was the problem here. But the chip has not been damaged. The board has not been damaged. I've seen a lot worse. I mean, you can see my videos, and you've seen some of them being done really badly. I mean, really badly. By really badly, I mean I had to retrace the traces on the board, right? Solder on the wires. Last time I remember it was this tiny one. So it could have been a lot worse. Plus, the chip was aligned. It's a lot harder than it looks to align the chip. And if you want to rely on the self-alignment of the chip, you have to be very precise with the amount of solder you put on it. If you put the just right amount, the chip will jump into position by itself. But to get that amount properly, exactly, very precisely, it's even harder than actually aligning the chip. So definitely that was not the worst job I've ever seen. Not even close. It was actually done relatively well. You just missed that one tiny aspect of it to use the flux. Or perhaps you used some crappy flux. For this I use RMA. If you want to do it in NC flux, you can, but again, that requires more skills from you. NC flags will require more skills, plain and simple. And after you're done, don't forget to clean the back side of the board if you use RMA flags. If you use NC, you can skip this step. You also preferably don't want to see solder inside those vias over here, but if you do, that's fine. It's no big deal, but that means you put too much solder. So next time, put a little less, and you'll be fine. Why does it look so oversaturated? Alright, now let's take a look at our guy. There you are. Beautiful. You are looking good today. Now, let's seal the chip. This is also optional. To seal the chip, I do it because I've always done it. Oh, that's too much. But yeah, this is optional. I mean, the board, as it comes from the manufacturer, it will be covered completely with conformal coating, but it kind of depends on the board. Not everything will be covered. And you know, once there is a liquid that gets into the ECM compartment, well, you have to address that issue anyways. Conformal coating will help, but it's, you know, it's not going to save you from liquid. These devices don't like liquids, especially corrosive liquids. I've had one ECM that it completely, you've probably seen the video, but I completely burned through on the backup voltage. The traces completely dissolved because they were submerged in liquid, and it seemed to be some corrosive liquid. Meaning, if there's any like salt water, your board is done. It's just gonna take too much effort to trace all those potential, potential burns and malfunctions. Only the replacement in that case. Also, one thing that is a common misconception, and everybody repeats that, and I can't disagree more. If your device, like phone or laptop, gets liquid damage, what do? If your answer is put it in rice, then your machine will die. I mean, depending on the liquid damage, you might get away with it. But rice is not the right solution. That's not the first thing you do. I mean, you can put it in rice because rice will absorb some of the moisture. There are better ways, the better chemicals to absorb moisture. But the first thing you do is disconnect the battery, no matter what it is. If there is a battery, and I mean any battery, even those coin cells, these little guys, right? Even this one. Any liquid damage, disconnect any power source. Wait for it to dry, then clean it with alcohol, because there's going to be some residue. If it was sweet liquid, then you clean it with 70% isopropyl. If it wasn't sweet, or it was salty or anything, you clean it with 99% isopropyl. And that's the solution. No rice, because I've seen few of these. Actually, there's one laptop that I fixed. What was it? Well, actually, I didn't fix it. But oh my god, what was it? HP or something? I don't remember. But yeah, it got liquid damage, and when I received it, it was like week after the liquid damage. I found few grains of rice in it, and the customer actually told me that his wife put it in the rice. But there was a short. The cap shorted out and discharged the battery until the trace completely burned through. And with such damage to the board, it didn't work. Basically, it tried to boot, but there was some issue that I couldn't trace. But that's what happens when you don't disconnect the battery. So the first thing, if it got wet, disconnect the battery. And I know in today's laptops, it's not as straightforward as it used to be. Just pop off the battery from the back or from the bottom, and you're good. No, nowadays you actually have to open the laptop and disconnect the cable. But that's what you gotta do. No rice is gonna save you. Alrighty, well, that was difficult because I had so many interruptions. But it was fun, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed the repair process and some chase banking discussions. I hope you're not one of the people that fell for that glitch. If you did, if you don't have a lawyer yet, get a lawyer, turn yourself in, express remorse, cry in front of the judge, especially if you're a woman and the judge is the man. Cry. If you have kids and all that kind of stuff, express what hardship you're experiencing and all that, and count on leniency of the judge, because that's all you can do. There's no getting out of this, unfortunately. The damage is done. Now it's time to suffer consequences. Also, well, if you are within the group of people that committed this act, then I'm really sorry for you. I absolutely sympathize, because now the jail time or the prison time is not going to be that bad, because it's federal prison. It's not that bad. But when you get out, that's going to be a tough time. Because unfortunately, the job market is what it is. A lot of competition. And if you have a disadvantage of being incarcerated, especially for wire fraud or check fraud, basically financial crimes, then that excludes you from a variety of jobs. And as I said, I go through background checks as a software engineer. Right. I don't know if I had such a charge on my background, whether I would get a software engineering job. Maybe not, because usually corporations just do those background checks to absolutely everybody, so there is no discrimination or anything like that. But I don't know if they actually act on it. Right. They won't hire you because you have conviction. In either case, you done messed up, and there's no get out of jail free card on this one. Even if you don't go to jail, even if you don't go to prison, you still have the conviction on your record. That's gonna be tough. I really sympathize, and I'm really sorry it happened to so many people. And I don't put 100% of blame on them. Some blame is on them. Some blame, but not 100%. We should be more understanding. I hope the courts or the federal court is gonna be more understanding and just lenient on them, because in either case, their life is about to get a lot harder. It's not a good position to be in. Very sad. Well, with this sad note, or on this sad note, let's finish the video. um, Thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate you. And I shall see you in the next one. Stay out of prison.